This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening everyone and welcome to Southern Cross News. The Tasmanian government is today facing yet another transparency scandal, this time over embattled former mining minister Adam Brooks. A long-awaited investigation today revealed Mr Brooks was still involved in a mining business while serving as minister and had kept the Premier in the dark about his actions.
It all started here 2.5 years ago. The then mining minister Adam Brooks asked whether he still used an email address linked to his mining business.
Do you use an MSS email address?
No.
You don't use an MSS email address?
Nope.
At all?
Nope.
Well, that's very interesting.
Today, a long-awaited investigation found he did not breach the ministerial code of conduct. But the Integrity Commission report found Mr Brooks was still involved in the management of mining company Maintenance Systems Solutions while mining minister. It said he had accessed, collated, forwarded and then deleted a number of emails linking him to the company and gave inaccurate written assurances to the Premier about his compliance with the protocol. Mr Brooks said in a statement he acted to keep personal information private.
He will not be considered for the ministry for the foreseeable future. He will not continue to serve as the Deputy Chair, nor indeed as Government Whip.
He's paid a very heavy price losing his ministry, being sat on the ballot bench. The government's paid a heavy price because the Parliament's far too small. They don't have anybody to go to.
It's created another transparency scandal for the government.
Will Hodgman's admission that Mr Brooks is not fit to serve in Cabinet shows that Mr Brooks has repeatedly lied to the Tasmanian people and that he isn't fit to sit in Parliament. This is another example of Will Hodgman's weak leadership when it comes to the conduct of his ministers.
The people of Braddon obviously elected Mr Brooks to be one of their Liberal MPs. They did so not knowing the evasive action that he took.
And making matters worse, the Speaker rose this afternoon revealing serious claims she was accosted by a member of the Premier's staff after speaking on the Adam Brooks debate.
After I left the chamber, I was yelled at by a member of the Premier's staff for this decision, which he apparently disagreed with. I am not used to receiving such communications and I resent this tone.
More fallout likely to come for an embattled second-term government. Michelle Wisby, Southern Cross News.
A 6-month-old baby has been diagnosed with meningococcal B disease. The baby was admitted to the Launceston General Hospital on Sunday and our reporter Sean McComish joins us now. Good evening, Sean. Can I ask, how is the baby's condition?
Well, Joe, we understand the baby is now in a stable condition. The infant was admitted here at the Launceston General Hospital on Sunday, and today authorities confirmed that it was a case of the meningococcal B strain. It's the 10th case of the disease in Tasmania this year and the 4th case of the B strain. Earlier today, the Health Service urged patients to be on the lookout for symptoms.
In babies, the symptoms include feeding poorly, fevers, they might go limp or pale, so it's quite hard to pick in that younger age groups.
The free ACWI vaccines are still available for those aged between 6 weeks and 21 years old, but anyone seeking the B strain vaccine will still have to pay for it. Authorities say awareness and vaccines are key to stopping the disease. Public health services are now working with the child's family and close contacts to avoid the risk of further infection. And we certainly hope the child recovers quickly. Joe?
Oh, we certainly do. Thank you very much for that. Sean McComish joining us there. The state government's announcement, an additional $100 million a year will go into Tasmanian hospitals, is being slammed as an accounting trick. Pressure continues to increase over the state of the system, which the Australian Medical Association says has become catastrophic.
Tasmanian hospitals to receive a funding injection. The government announcing today they'll get an extra $105 million.
We're talking about a significant investment in our health system on top of what is already record funding.
The Premier says it's to help hospitals meet the costs associated with increasing demand.
Money does not grow on trees. It requires strong financial management to be able to do all these things.
But the cash splash is being criticised as an accounting trick.
This is not real money. This will not buy anything new, not one bandage, not one scalpel. This money should have been accounted for in the budget. It wasn't, and now it's just an accounting top-up. It's an accounting trick.
What we got was an announcement that simply says we need to balance the budget this year and here's the money to do it, delivering care as we currently are.
The Royal Hobart Hospital yesterday experienced what doctors say are unprecedented issues, with 80 people waiting in emergency and 27 of them needing a bed.
So that was all of the beds in ED filled, so patients were on trolleys and goodness knows where looking for care. Not acceptable.
The government is going to have to abandon its austerity policy and spend the money that the people want them to spend.
Despite government promises that it's working to solve the issues, the AMA says it's urgent more staff are recruited and extra resources are brought in.
We're investing at record $757 million. It will open nearly 300 new beds, employ 1,300 new staff and continue to increase services.
Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
Thousands of teachers walked off the job this morning across the north and northwest to protest the state government's 2% wage cap. But the disruption and promise of more has failed to sway the Premier, who's sticking to his guns.
Packing into a Launceston basketball stadium, Tasmania's teachers stop work as a pay fight with the state government grows more desperate.
I'm tired, I'm stressed and I've had enough. That is why I'm standing here taking action today.
Their message? Pay us more and address workloads.
Our log of claims is pretty clear. It's a 3% wage increase and addressing a range of complex workload matters.
They're promising more action like today's until the government budges from its 2% wages cap. Parents and family arriving to school didn't seem too bothered by the late drop-off time.
Not at all. Nothing wrong with industrial action.
I think teachers need a pay rise.
The Premier denies talks with the union have broken down.
I am aware, or I'm advised that there are upcoming scheduled meetings for the unions and the government to participate in. I'd encourage them to be involved in that.
More schools in the south will close until 10:30 a.m. tomorrow as the stop work rolls on. Meanwhile, the public sector union says it will consider a new offer put forward by the government late yesterday, pledging fewer fixed-term positions and more permanent ones. But the 2% stays firmly in place.
The other things that are in this offer are very small, apply to very small groups of workers. I'd be very surprised if people thought this was an acceptable offer, but we're a member-led union, so we'll put it to our members and they'll ultimately decide.
They'll hold stop work meetings of their own in December. Sean McComish, Southern Cross News.
More forensic evidence has been heard in the trial of a woman accused of murdering a Newnham man. Aaron Matthew Monaco was allegedly stabbed to death on the night of November 4, 2016. Today, the Launceston Supreme Court heard details of blood samples taken from the scene. Clothes and several knives were recovered. Belinda Leone Colburn has pleaded not guilty to his murder. The trial continues tomorrow. The Coroner's Court has begun its investigation into a man who died from hypothermia while walking the overland track in winter of 2016. Trevor Tolpert had spent 5 days walking the track and was meant to be picked up by his daughter on the 14th of July. He didn't arrive and was found dead by another walking party the next morning. With the court hearing, he had died at 8:30 the previous evening. Crown Prosecutor Jack Shapiro said the clothing Mr Tolpert was wearing was okay for summer, but was inadequate given the precarious weather conditions. The inquest will hear from 12 witnesses and continues tomorrow. The new Glamorgan Spring Bay Council is tonight considering a controversial tourism development, Cambria Green, on Tasmania's east coast. Our reporter Louise Hedger is live now with more details. Good evening, Louise. What's the latest with this development?
Joy, the council is in a meeting right now and members have just voted in regards to the large-scale development Cambria Green. They've just passed a motion to send the project to the Tasmanian Planning Commission. The $100 million proposal, backed by Australian and Chinese investors, would go on the coast between Dolphin Sands and Swansea. It includes accommodation villas, an airstrip and a conference centre. Proponents say the east coast doesn't have enough accommodation options for tourists, tourists, and this would attract high-end visitors. It's already received its fair share of criticism, with concerns it will spoil the quiet area and invite mass development to the coast. As I mentioned, Joe, the council has just voted and the matter has now been sent to the Tasmanian Planning Commission to have the final say on the development.
OK, Louise, thanks very much for that report. Louise Hedger joining us there. An investigation has been launched into a pilot who fell asleep while en route to King Island. The plane flew past the island by nearly 50 kilometres after leaving Devonport before turning around and landing safely. The Australian Transport Safety Bureau says the pilot was the only person on board the flight which was delivering freight. The aircraft operator, Vortex Air, says it was the pilot's first rostered flight with the company after returning from a period of leave. Meanwhile, passengers taking off from Launceston Airport this morning were treated to a rare sight. Known as tunnel clouds, these striking images last only a few minutes at a time. The Bureau of Meteorology says the tunnel clouds are formed when wind below the clouds rapidly changes direction. Some of the brightest minds from Queechee High School will compete in the National F1 in Schools competition next year after taking out today's state title. The school sent 2 teams after claiming victory in both the professional and development classes. The lightning-fast competition teaches students a range of skills, including innovation and teamwork.
They have to engineer a car, they have to manufacture a car, but they also have to do a verbal presentation to judges.
The rising stars were team members from East Launceston Primary School who took out today's cadet class. Participants in the annual Toy Run are getting ready to rumble, with the popular event being held in Hobart this Saturday. 10,000 people from across the state are expected to take part on their motorbikes, carrying Christmas gifts and donations for the Salvation Army.
It's just a great atmosphere, it's a great community event, but the outcomes from the event reach statewide, and that's really the critical factor.
Yeah, it's fantastic really. People in the community who've fallen on hard times, it's great to be able to do something to support them and make Christmas a more pleasant time for them.
It's the 39th time the event will be held and leaves at 2:30 from the Derwent Entertainment Centre. New visitor attractions are coming to Tasmania, but they're seemingly invisible unless you have a smartphone. Tech developers have created augmented reality experiences in several towns, giving you a virtual window into the past.
Luke is exploring the site that was Brighton's army camp in 1914. It's now a somewhat sparse park, but wielding a smartphone, he can see and even walk around a 3D model of the tents that used to be here.
And we thought it would be really engaging to allow you to step back in time and actually experience what it was like to wander around the tents, wander inside the tents and get a sense of what it was like.
Handbuilt Creative has developed augmented reality attractions at Brighton, the Southern Midlands, Richmond and the Derwent Valley, using the app Uist, which is like Pokemon Go for history.
One of the things we like about it is that it is really passive on the landscape and it's effectively invisible unless you know it's there.
It's also part of a push to spread Tasmania's tourism love to the regions.
This is about dispersing people into regional areas and increasing their spend. So getting to connect with places that they wouldn't be able to, any of that is going to be a success, yeah.
The developers say this is just the tip of the iceberg for augmented reality. And in only a couple of years, this technology could become a lot more mainstream.
We're based at the moment with smartphones and tablets, but we believe within the next 18 to 24 months, perhaps slightly longer, then we'll see AR glasses, wearables being more ubiquitous.
More augmented reality experiences are set to be revealed in the coming weeks, including a special attraction to lure visitors to the Uist app at Hobart Airport. Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
Now let's take a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The Australian share market has closed higher after a positive afternoon of trading, buoyed by the financial sector and supported by commodity-related stocks. The ASX 200 index has risen by 56.7 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 72.36 US cents and 63.8 euro cents.
Tasmania has been bowled out for 185 in its Sheffield Shield clash against South Australia. New skipper Matthew Wade delivered a powerful innings, but his teammates were never settled. After taking it up to Victoria in its last Shield clash, Tasmania's batting demons returned when Alex Doolan went for 8 in the 5th over and fellow opener Jordan Silk joined him on 12. On what was considered to be a bowler's wicket, the task of finding the boundary fell to Ben McDermott, but even he nearly succumbed to a single figure. Only a mistimed throw saved him. But the safety net was only fleeting. McDermott trapped LBW on 24. Jake Doran soon followed, caught among the pack of redbacks in the slips. Having stepped down as captain to focus on his form, Tigers veteran George Bailey handed the torch to Matthew Wade. The old and the new pairing for only 11 runs when Bailey was caught on 28. Another captain, the Aussie one, then joined Wade at the crease. But it was the local leader doing the big hitting, Wade smacking 2 sixes in succession. He stayed strong at the crease with 6 boundaries all up before his day ended on 43. The Tigers finished their innings with a modest total of 185. And the Hobart Hurricanes have announced Indian batter Smriti Madhana as the side's final signing ahead of its WBBL season opener on Saturday. She has form in Tasmania, having hit her maiden international century in an ODI at Blunston in 2016. Launceston boxer Leighton McFerrin has returned home with his first professional belt. The 20-year-old claimed the Victorian State Super Featherweight title after winning his 8-round bout by unanimous decision on Saturday night. He says he felt more excitement than nerves when stepping into the ring.
At the start, I just let him know how strong I was and kind of that, it wasn't going to be an easy fight for himself. And then towards the end of the fight, I just kind of put it up a few notches and then just made him feel like, I'm here to fight.
McFerrin's next goal is to fight for a regional title sometime next year. The best swimmers from some of Tasmania's primary schools have gone head-to-head. Around 500 children from the southern region dived into action at the Hobart Aquatic Centre today. As well as the traditional swimming styles, competitions also included aquatic underarm, which is a survival stroke taught in swimming safety programs. North Melbourne recruit Taryn Thomas will inherit a playing number worn by some of the club's greats. The North Launceston product will wear 26, a number previously worn by the likes of Dennis Pagan, Peter Bell and Severio Rocker. Thomas was selected at pick 8 in the draft on Thursday night.
Good evening. On the 331st day of the year, Hobart reached 17 degrees, Launceston 20, Burnie and Devonport 19. Flinders Island topped the rainfall today with 19 millimetres. Derwent Bridge recorded 13 as a moist southeasterly airstream sat right over the state. Ouse, Bushy Park and Strawn the top with 21 degrees. Friendly Beaches and Smithton 20, Flinders Island 19, King Island and Lowhead 18, St Helens 17, Lyre Weenie scrambled to 12. Most of the showers today were scattered and isolated as this cloud took hold over Tasmania. More of that band also moved over southern coastal parts of the continent. A trough has cloud over South Australia and Western Victoria, with more to the north pushing from WA to Western New South Wales. Active thunderstorms over the tropical north to Western Queensland. Tomorrow a deep low strengthens off the east of the nation as surface troughs continue to dominate the north. A high forms over the Bight as well. East to southeasterlies at 10 to 20 knots, easing with inshore afternoon sea breezes. No warnings apart from another day under 20. Hobart a few showers and 19 for Geeveston, 19 the top for Bothwell with a possible shower. Launceston tomorrow, 22, I lie, a shower or two. 19 the top for Devonport, a possible shower or two for Cressy. 21 degrees. Burnie a shower or two and 19. Strawn partly cloudy and a shower or two for Curry on King Island. And for the east, St Helens a shower or two. Morning showers for Swansea and a shower or two for Orford. Temperatures in the high teens in the east. There's the UV forecast, which is very high right across the state. Our 3-day forecast isn't looking too bad. Partly cloudy with showers over the north and also the eastern parts on Thursday. Into Friday, partly cloudy again. Later in the day, more showers over the southern parts and the southeast of the state. And into Saturday we go, and mainly fine and partly cloudy. A few showers again over the southeastern areas. Further north, a sunny 24 in Perth. Partly cloudy in Adelaide. A possible shower forecast for Melbourne. Heavy rain at times in Sydney. Windy with possible dust haze over Brisbane. And current conditions, fine, warm, humid and 33 degrees. Oh, sorry, that's where I was yesterday. Cloudy, 16 in Hobart, 18 in Launceston, and currently it's mostly cloudy in Devonport, 17. That's it for me, Joe. Tarima Cassie.
OK, Bali's loss is our gain. Thank you very much, Merv. That's all from the team for now. Have a lovely evening. We will see you a little later with updates. Bye for now.